Boa noite, mis hermanos. So I want to make this quick video just to kind of give you guys a recap on my weekend and share a few thoughts on SYSBM. Now, I know I've been speaking a little bit about that, but I wanted to talk a little bit more in depth about it, what it meant to me, how it got started, and what, quite frankly, how it's impacted my life. This weekend, I saw something kind of interesting. My wife and my son and I, we kind of did a quick trip to Orlando and went to a theme park. There were a lot of, it was busy, of course, Memorial Day weekend, but then it's always busy down there. In any event, I saw some interesting thing, and all like interesting things, couples, and all I could think about was Kevin Samuels. And I thought about a lot of the brothers that I saw. There were these two brothers in particular. They were kind of, wasn't bad looking guys. Looked like they kept themselves together. But the people that they were with, morbidly obese, they had attitudes. And the guys were just kind of docile. It appears as though they were just kind of being cooperative. And I said to myself, all of these options are around these guys, because I don't know if any of you who's watching this video have ever been to middle to lower Florida, but the Brazilian, the Colombian, they're just, it's widespread. There are a lot, muitos pessoas, a lot of people, right, of different ethnicities, and they're very cooperative, beautiful, fit, friendly. And I'm thinking to myself, why are these guys, do they know that they have options? And for a split second, I began to think about myself. So my SYSBM journey began in 2017, and it happened because of a video from a guy named Charles Tyler. And in that video, he was an avid fan of Brazil. And he talked not only about the women, but he talked about the culture, the vibe, the mentality that the people bring, and just the society as a whole, and how the people are fit, cooperative, women are very feminine, and just the peace that they bring into the life of us brothers in the U.S. who are searching for something different, something better. And I had a conversation with my mom at the time, and I told her, you know what, Mom, I think I might want to try something different, because, I never really had a problem dating in America, and I'm not a devastatingly handsome guy, but I keep myself together, had things going for myself. So I've never really had an issue with, as far as dating in America is concerned. So that wasn't a problem for me. But the problem was the mentality that I would run across just consistently. And I know a lot of times when people say SYSBM, they just kind of say, okay, non-black. But the thing about it is this: you're not necessarily looking at a color. You're looking at a mindset. You're looking at a Western way of thinking. So for me, that's kind of where my mind was, getting away from that, dealing with people who had that Western way of thinking, the boss B type mentality, or the equal, or the I want to be a boss too. I wanted to get away from that. So anyway, he convinced me that I had options. And I know that might sound crazy for a lot of people, but you have to understand, for me at the time, before I bought into his videos, all I knew was here. All I knew was this place. Okay, so that's all I saw. Anything that I thought that I could get, it would have to come from this place, particularly in regards to dating, right? So when it got to the point where I believed him, and my curiosity was just completely up here, I said, you know what? I'm going to go see. It's kind of like I remember Brad Pitt. He was in a movie and he was like a mediator with a drug cartel. And then he told this one guy who was a potential client, he said, listen, if you mess up their money and you call it a coincidence, this is what you need to remember. They've heard of coincidences. They believe they exist. The problem is they just never seen one. And in other words, you're going to take a dirt nap if you mess up their money. So for me, I believed that there were options. I've kind of heard of them, but I'd never seen any for me. For me. So I bought a plane ticket, went, and it was better than what I believed. You know, I'm one of the guys that kind of cried when I was on my way back to America. That's true, I did. And so when I came back, now I didn't tell, it was only 2 people knew that I was going, my son and my mom. Nobody else knew I was going. So when I got back and I told people who were close to me, hey, look, I went here and this is what happened. And they were like, really? Why didn't you tell anybody you were going? First of all, I wanted to see if it was real for myself. I believed what he was saying, but I wanted to confirm it with my own eyes, my own experience. And I did. And it just kind of made me think, and let me just say this, when I got back, dating was never the same again. It's just like you talk about a short fuse. It's kind of like the moment I picked up on a mentality that was the polar opposite of where the people of where I just left, I wanted no parts to deal with them. I didn't want to deal with them. I wanted no parts to do that. I wasn't buying anything that they were selling. Not that I was paying for play, but I didn't know I wasn't about that. So it made me think when I saw what I saw today, and then I thought about my own journey. A lot of people, when they look at my videos, they think, oh man, you know, you married a Brazilian, man, you just completely just like, you know, fell in love with Brazil, you know. But here's what you need to know about me. I fell in love with Brazil because it connected with me, right? I had been to Africa. I had been to places in the Caribbean. I've been to Canada, been to places in Europe. But I feel like Brazil, I felt alive when I was there. I felt connected. I felt this spark, this energy that I had never felt before. So when you see the Brazilian flag and the American flag, the American flag and the Brazilian flag on me, or the words é verdade, which means it's true, all of this had everything to do with 2017. Now, I met my wife, who was a Brazilian, in 2019. So all of this was done in 2000. This was done after I met my wife, but all of this was in effect in 2017. This was birthed in 2017. Why do I make that point? Because I feel, and I'm not saying that if you meet someone, you fall in love, they're of a different ethnicity, if you want to show your appreciation, you know, if you guys are like us, you have a child, you want to do a company. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, it needed to be my experience and my experience alone. It needed to be something apart from everybody else, because I didn't want anybody else to have anything to do with the love or the experience that I had and how it affected me. It affected me so deeply to where even before I met my wife, it grew and grew and grew and grew. Now, I'll be honest with you. I had no thought that I would marry a Brazilian. Like, I didn't say, you know what, I'm gonna marry a Brazilian. All I knew is that I fell in love with the country. I felt alive. It created a spark in me, and just so happened through some Brazilian friends that I had here, I met a Brazilian, fell in love, got married, had a child. So when you see the American Brazilian tattoo, You can also say it's I'm an American. When people ask me what this means, I say I'm an American who loves Brazil. I am. I have a Brazilian wife who lives in America, and I have a son who's half American and half Brazilian. But it's the first thing that I focused on. I'm an American who loves Brazil, and that happened in 2017. So you might be looking at this video and you may be about to get married. You may be in a relationship that you know that's not working. You might be 32, you might be 38, you might be 47, you might be 56, you might be in the 60s. And you know that you're tired of dealing with the people where you are. You know it. You might even have mentioned this to your friends. You know what, man, why don't we take a trip and they tell you, oh man, you know, all them girls, they're poor, they're uneducated, they just want a green card, they're prostitutes. Man, you need to find you a boss lady, man. You need to find you somebody, man, a power couple. You know what that is? That's all of that is a euphemism for misery loving company. There might be somebody right now that's watching this video that's about to walk down the aisle. You know you don't really dig them. You know that that's not the person that you're supposed to be with. But because you put a lot of money into it, a lot of time has been invested in it, you feel like, you know what, things will change. Now, you know that this person is trying to keep you away from your family. Incrementally, they're pulling you away. They have this control thing, and you acquiesce more than you normally would. But that's manipulation. And I think you kind of know what's going on. But again, you thinking, man, we put all this money in this wedding. We paid for this, we paid for that. Listen, the regret of not having something that shouldn't happen is far less than the regret of going through with something that you know you shouldn't go through with. So just think about it. And if you're one of those people that I mentioned, you might say, well, you know what? Man, I would love to go to Brazil or one of these other countries, but I'm like deathly afraid of water. Well, then your options are find a different ethnic community right here in the U.S. People that hang around their own group. And you never know. But here's the problem with that. Let's just say you do that and you fall in love with somebody and they say, well, you know what? I want to take you home to my country to meet my family. Then what? It's only so many places you can get by boat or car. So at some point, you need to make a decision. Now, for me, it was Brazil. It might be the Dominican Republic for you. It might be somewhere in Asia. It might be somewhere in Europe. It might be somewhere in Canada. It might be somewhere in Africa. It might be somewhere far away from where we are right now. But if you believe, you, the guy I'm talking to right now, if you believe what I'm saying is true, you do yourself a disservice by not even looking into it. When you are truly ready, the world is going to open up to you. That's kind of like that Chinese proverb. I think of Confucius, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When you truly embrace, first of all, you have to believe that there are other options than what you've been experiencing. And I'm not talking pay for play. I'm not talking about any of that. You can do that here. I'm talking about guys who say, you know what? I want a life partner. I want a wife. I want a long-term relationship, but I just don't want to deal with the mentality that I've been dealing with here. You need to begin somewhere. Now, my shirt is very interesting, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm about to wrap up. My shirt says this: I may live in the USA. I'll stand up. But my story began in Brazil. Two questions for you, brother. You looking at me right now. Two questions for you. Where will your story begin? More importantly, when? Time is wasting. You're not promised tomorrow. I know you got plans. I know you got things that you say, well, I want to do this first. I want to do that. What if tomorrow never comes? What if you say, well, man, the situations is not perfect. Sometimes the only perfection that we need in any situation is the desire at the time. And if you have a desire, you have all the perfection that you need to create a perfect situation. So, my brothers, I'm saying, if you're gonna live this life, you might as well get the most out of it that you can. And if partnership is what you seek, and you feel like where you are right now here, that the options are not as plentiful as you would like, then I tell you, as somebody who's experienced firsthand, there are a whole lot of options, good options, outside of this place. But I can want it for you, I just can't choose it for you. In any event, I'm gonna sign off and just say, make a decision that you can live with. Make a decision that you can live with. I think you're gonna thank me if you make the decision that I hope you do. Lembre-se, gentes, no odeia o jogador, odeia o jogo. It's your man Larry, the American Brazilian, saying, até a breve, é verdade.